Imagine facing a Scharnhorst, infamous German invincible steel behemoth, and then you kill it with your secondaries. Welcome to the new patch. I hope you enjoy. Hello there, and welcome back to War Thunder, to the first impressions on the IJN Mutsu, which is a Nagato class battleship in its 1922 configuration. It's the latest and greatest of the 7.0 Japanese rank 6 lineup, and it comes after the Congo in the tech tree. It features the biggest guns in the game, and it will feature the largest guns for a very long time, effectively only getting surpassed in sheer caliber by the Yamato. Because what you have here are four twin 410mm-45 Type 3 guns, and they're actually really good. They work not just in a meta, but they also have the highest penetration. So those 16.1 inch guns actually work at introduction, which is something that not a lot of ships that were newly introduced can say. You also have quite the effective secondaries. You basically have no AA. Your torpedoes are there and not useless, but you shouldn't rely on them. You are decently fast. Your armor is there, and it might be effective in another patch, but don't think that you will last for long when you get shot. But I think that this is, with the new meta, something that I have to still try out and have to experiment with. So this is not a review, this is a first impressions, and I have to say the ship plays as nicely, is as nice of an experience as it looks, and it looks fantastic, might I say. So let's talk about the guns. And they are somewhat a slap in the face, especially for the Americans. And I find the logic here really insanely amusing, with a bit of irony. Namely that those guns have a respectable turret rotation speed, so they are not desperately slow. And they have a reload of, hold your breath, for 16.1 inch guns, you have a reload of 24 seconds. Now, my dear American players, with your 14 inch guns, what's your reload? Is it still 40 seconds? I think it is. I feel your pain right now. And so that mitigates the disadvantage of only, quote unquote, only having 8 guns. And it kind of would be a bit of a problem if the damage output of any shell in the game has been drastically effectively increased. Not just HE and SAP, but also AP. And let's talk about the ammunition of this ship. You have the stock 410mm common type 0 HE shell, and that delivers 46.5 kilograms of TNT equivalent bursting charge, which results in 71mm of penetration at any distance at any given angle. And then you have 2 types of AP rounds, and yet another slap in the face for the Americans, because the first AP round is a tier 1 upgrade, and that is the 410mm number 3 APC. That's a 1-ton shell traveling at 760 meters per second, having a TNT equivalent warhead of 12.66 kilograms, and at 10 kilometers has the exact same penetration as the high performance 14 inch guns from the USS Mississippi, namely 439 millimeters. And that is quite a lot. And that helps you to grind then the tier 4 upgrade, the 410mm number 5 APC. They are also a 1-ton heavy warhead, 1000 kilograms, traveling at 790 meters per second initial muzzle velocity, and also have 12.66 kilograms of TNT equivalent bursting charge. But the penetration goes up, noticeably so. to 775 millimeters at 1000 meters, and at 10 kilometers just shy of 500 millimeters. And those shells will deal damage, and a lot of damage. And it just falls into line with the reload of 24 seconds, the acceptable turret rotation speed, especially for that caliber, and also the damage output. And then there are your secondaries, and they're also helping you quite out a bit. You have 10 140mm guns in casemate mountings per side, and you have SAP rounds, which you do not have for the main guns, which would be interesting if they would scale appropriately with the caliber, when you look at the 14-inch guns from the Japanese. Now, those 140mm secondary shells, the SAP rounds, deliver 2.2 kilograms of TNT equivalent bursting charge, and at 5 kilometers will penetrate 81 millimeters of armor. And with a reload of 6 seconds, you really can effectively ruin the day of any destroyer, patrol boat, and even light cruisers, and help even destroy heavy cruisers and battleships, as you saw at the very start. So this ship works, and I love it, and the other 7.0s are great. And that brings me to the one criticism, and that is that this ship was absolutely not necessary or mandatory for the Japanese. Alone at 7.0 we have the IJN Fuzu, IJN Hyuga, the IJN Ise, the IJN Kongo, and as a reward the IJN Haruna, and effectively another 7.0, the IJN Yamashiro, although it is a premium at 6.7. So you can look at other nations and they just don't have the numbers nor the quality of the Japanese 7.0 lineup. And while the escalation to 16.1 inch guns isn't game breaking per se, I just would love for the Italians to get the Littorio, and at least the Dunkirk for the French. And you know, this is now their time, when we have the Kronstadt and the Scharnhorst, and then also the Alaska for the Americans, right? So the minor nations still get neglected. But honestly, that's not the ship's fault, right? And again, I want to highlight, this is not a review, this is a first impressions where I talk about my opinions, my gameplay experience so far, and it didn't play too much, but alone in this battle, and I featured the screenshots, the post-battle results screenshots on Twitter, which you can find the link in the description down below. I did for the SMS Baden, which you now can earn, almost 1/3 of the necessary score points in that one battle alone. That is quite something, and I have 2 days time. I don't know if I was exceptionally skilled, but honestly I just was lucky that I wasn't getting focused. And this ship is not invincible. The meta has significantly changed, so I have to try out a lot of other ships as well, and there might be some gems out there that previously were not really noteworthy because they were overshadowed by other ships, and now the card deck kind of has been reshuffled, and I'm looking forward to getting some more experience in certain other ships. The grind is weird though. How you get your RP sometimes makes no sense. It's not directly correlated to the damage, nor the skills, the kills, nor the battle time. It's really weird. So I just have to now go back to the verdict. This ship is great. This ship is fantastic. The Japanese have now undoubtedly the most effective and best lineup that punches above its weight quite easily, and there's just nobody else to challenge them. There are other ships out there that are really strong and fearsome, but the entire lineup, that you can spawn basically your entire lineup, where you have a full lineup only of battleships and battle cruisers with powerful guns. That's just so much more than any other nation has. We still don't have the Queen Elizabeth class for the British, or the R class, therefore, right? Just to mention here one example, because the British are at least in numbers equivalent, and even then we don't have anything comparable to the US. And this might be the glorious days of the Imperial Japanese Navy in War Thunder, because they will dominate this patch. I don't know what changes Gaijin will bring with tweaking the damage output, but they kind of have to, because this is way too strong. So I find it deeply satisfying to sling those 16.1 shells, 16.1 inch shells at the enemy and see them fall and just do tremendous damage. Through positioning and through focusing on certain ships of the enemies, I can go now into the battle and have a real influence. Sadly, I don't have a float plane, so I cannot really participate in capping, but therefore you have patrol boats, and obviously you then have the fun of the repair cost, because there are a whopping 41,000 civilians, the maximum repair cost. So IJN Mutsu, she's a beauty and she's a killer. I can absolutely recommend playing this ship, and it will serve you nicely. So with a few kills on, for example, a hood, which is just mandatory, I say that's it for me today. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Let me know in the comment section your opinion about the new patch and this presentation. What do you think from what you've seen? Is the escalation to over 16 inches logical and right, or is it absolute overkill for the game? And for you, it's just a click if you click the like button and subscribe, but for me it means the world. And as usual, we will see each other on the battlefields, in the skies, and on the waves of War Thunder.